Hi everyone, and I welcome you to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the today's video. In the video, we are going to discuss entire analysis of Hindu newspaper. We'll simplify all articles, we'll take articles along with the background. We'll find that what it can be way forward that can be written in our examination. Before moving guys, I would like to tell you that the entire synoptic notes of this session are available at our Telegram channel. You can download the PDF or free of cost. The link for Telegram channel has been given in description box in YouTube, or you can directly visit Telegram and can search there by typing Thinking Palette by Sahil and you'll find that PDF. Now, before moving on, let's take the overview of the entire newspaper so that we can actually understand that which articles are going to be important in the today's newspaper. So let's take the overview. So guys, here we have the first page of the Hindu newspaper. The first article is very important. The article says Supreme Court majority ruling finds no flaw in 2016 demonetization process. So we'll see this entire article and we'll understand that what has been the judgment provided by Supreme Court and all other related dimensions that are needed for examination. We'll see. Then side article, six killed as terrorist strike. Now article is not that much important for the exam point of view or academic point of view. Then moving on guys, we have advertisement and then city section, anger spills after hit and run case. So in the city section, majorly the important news are not that much, so we will be skipping this particular section. Okay, then these tenders, advertisements, etc. has been given, so not that much important. And guys, in this particular direction, here one article we can see, use gender neutral word to refer to ex-servicemen, says Karnataka High Court. So guys, it has been provided that rather than using words such as the ex-serviceman, ex-service personnel word can be used because it is more gender neutral. Guys, in the past there have been articles which says that even in parliament the language that is used, it is not gender sensitive. For example, chairman, so rather than chairman, chairperson, rather than serviceman, service personnel or person, such kind of words should be used. It puts more gender sensitivity in the context. I just want to give you one more example. Recently guys, the government introduced the personal data protection bill. In that personal data protection bill also, the word he has been replaced with the word she. So such kind of an examples can be given just as a passing reference in our GS paper number 4 ethics as well as GS paper number 1 and 2 society. Okay, then further moving on in this particular direction guys, so here we come to the editorial section and majorly important articles are in editorial section. So the when degrees lose their worth, we'll see this particular article with respect to the examination, GS paper number 2. Then side article, GST buoyancy. Now this article is talking about the rising GST collection in the month of December. We found this particular thing. Now guys, I have told you that you don't need to track every month data with respect to the export, import, GST collection, all these kind of things. In the end, when economic survey will come, when in economic survey will see that what have been the major themes. Then further moving on, here the case against the state control of Hindu temples. Now in article too much specific details have been provided which are actually not important for exam, but still there are some good references and good case studies, Supreme Court judgments that have been given. So we'll see this article as well. Then side article, over the borderline, this article talks about the development of villages around the border areas. Fine, we'll see this particular article with respect to the examination and how it is relevant in the light of India China skirmishes that have increased. Okay, we'll see this article. Then further moving on, the next page, towards reducing India's prison footprints, we'll see this particular article and a different kind of a viewpoint on the India's overcrowding in prisons. It has been provided. We'll take this article as well. Then further moving on, overtures by the CPI ML to the IUML, political article, not relevant. Then further, India's toy story is still in the making. We'll see this particular article with respect to the examination. Okay. Then further moving on, we come to the text and context section. Now in text and context section, the first article, a new coronavirus variant on the block. So guys, this particular article is talking about the XBB.1.5 version of the COVID-19 and basically it is being compared with the previous versions. Now guys, the article is containing too much of hairline detail which is not important for the examination. Moreover, every COVID variant, comparing that COVID variant with the previous cases, etc., such kind of questions are not relevant for UPSC examinations. Moreover, this entire thing is highly evolving. These things are evolving, research is ongoing. So this article doesn't contain much of the exam related substance. I will advise you, please don't waste the time with respect to the exam utility. Now the next article, what is the new delimitation exercise by Assam? We'll see this particular article, guys. Now the politicization also of this particular article has happened, but with respect to the exam, all the important issues we are going to take here. Then weighing out the gains and losses of demonetization. So guys, this article is from the archives article. From the archives article means that this article was published earlier. Okay, now this article was written by the former Prime Minister of India. Okay, we'll take this particular article along with the first page article that's there. Then moving on, after that, Supreme Court list UP's plea against order of civic polls for January 4. So guys, in the past 2-3 days, we have discussed this particular article multiple number of times. Yesterday, I have made one shorts video also where in 1 minute I have explained this entire controversy. Okay, and in past 2-3 days, multiple times we have discussed. Now the Supreme Court has provided that this case will be heard on the January 4. So January 4, that is tomorrow. So when it will happen, we'll see this thing. Till then, no need to go in this article. Briefly, I will tell you what is this entire controversy all about. Guys, Uttar Pradesh government reserved the seat for OBC people in the urban local body elections. So that particular thing got invalidated by the Allahabad High Court, because Allahabad High Court said that already representation of OBC people in municipalities is high. So why you are reserving the seats now for them? Now they have applied to Supreme Court. So Supreme Court will hear the matter tomorrow and then will give the judgment. Okay. Then further moving on, guys. After that, exploding number of Indian illegal immigrants came to Austria, minister. Yesterday also I have taken this article. Today again we'll see briefly what has happened in this direction. Then further moving on. Fine. After that, BJP hails the Supreme Court verdict in demonetization. Supreme Court doesn't acquit government, says opposition party. So both articles are talking about the demonetization development. We'll take this particular thing also along with the article on the page number 1. Then guys, further moving on in this particular direction, much important articles are not there. Online games must register with self-regulatory body. We'll see this article, we'll understand what are the games of chance, what are the games of skill, what Supreme Court and the other high courts have said in this particular direction in the past. All these things we are going to take here. Then further moving on, ST Commission holds its ground on impact of new rules on Forest Rights Act. We'll see this particular article with respect to the examination as what it is talking about. Fine. Then further moving on, Sudoku, if you want, you can try attempting it. World. So on the world page, Russia-Ukraine war, Russia-Ukraine, now the Ukraine has fired the missiles, rockets on the Russian troops. So these things are provided. No need to go and follow these day-to-day commentary. Fine, runway closed for hours after Israel strikes Syrian capital. Nothing important article is there in this particular direction, guys. And coming to the world business, the business page. IMF MD Georgieva warns that global economy faces tougher year in 2023. So it's being provided that the inflation will continue, the global slowdown that is there majorly because of the Russia-Ukraine war, it will continue. So the prospects are not that much positive. And then guys, we have the corporate trends, etc. Okay, and then we have the sports page. So this is guys the overview of entire newspaper, and I take overview in every class just with one objective, that is to instill capability in you so that you yourself can understand that which articles are actually important for newspaper, which articles are not important, because over the course of time, fine, when you will read newspaper at your own, okay, then you should be having that know-how. So this is about it, and now guys, let's take all the articles one by one with the detailed discussion. Let's discuss them one by one. Okay, so we start every class with a GS quotation, and today we are going to take quotation from the father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji. So Gandhi ji says that there is no higher court than the court of justice. There is a higher court than the court of justice, the court of laws, the Supreme Court, High Court, that is the court of conscience. It supersedes all other courts, the court of conscience. What is conscience? Conscience is our inner voice which guides us what is right or what is wrong. The court of justice will look on fact, it will look on the evidence. Facts, evidence could be fabricated, but our conscience knows what we have done correct, what we have done wrong. And if your conscience tells you a particular thing is right or wrong, then that thing supersedes every judgment of every formal court. So the court of conscience is the highest court of all. We can use this particular quotation in our GS paper number 4 ethics. We can use this particular quotation in GS paper number 4 ethics. Fine. So this is about it. Please note down a very impactful quotation, very impactful quotation. Now, taking up the first article. Okay, so guys, here we have actually clubbed multiple articles from the newspaper. Okay, now just I will show you this particular article reads Supreme Court majority ruling finds no flaw in 2016 demonetization process. This particular article we have taken from the page number 1 and weighing out the gains and losses of demonetization. This article we have taken from the text and the context page. Okay, apart from these 3 more articles on demonetization where the political comments have been made. So I have taken relevant substances from that article also, and along with it Indian Express articles also have been covered here. Okay, so let's take this article as what it is now talking about. Okay, fine. So let's take about it. So basically, guys, when we talk about demonetization, now this particular article is talking about the demonetization exercise. In India, demonetization has been carried 3 times. One, it was carried in 1946. Secondly, it was carried in 1978. And thirdly, the demonetization was carried in 2016. In 2016 demonetization, Mahatma Gandhi series 500 rupees note and Mahatma Gandhi series 1000 rupees note got demonetized. Now, as they got demonetized, government gave many justifications that why we are going for demonetization. Government said that demonetization was being carried to reduce the quantum of black money that has been there. Moreover, it was provided this particular thing that many number of times the currency is being used for Indian currency. Fine, it has been used for many other kind of an illicit activities also. For that thing it was used. Fine, the size of the basically it has been provided that the money acquired by the dirty means also it has increased and tax evasion is going on. So for all those particular kind of things, demonetization was brought. Now guys, when we talk about this act of demonetization, let's understand briefly that the past demonetizations that have happened in 1946 and 1978, what type of notes were demonetized there, and then we'll come to this particular case. So basically guys, when we talk about the 1946 and 1978 demonetization, so these are the clippings of the Indian Express newspaper from that particular year. So we find in 1946, 500 rupees note, 1000 rupee note and 10,000 rupee note, they got demonetized. 500 rupees, 1000 rupees and 10,000 rupees note. Then the second demonetization happened in 1978, and in the second demonetization, 1000 rupees note, 5000 rupees note and 10,000 rupees notes, they got demonetized. Okay, so 10,000 rupees note got demonetized here also, but they were reintroduced. Then again they got demonetized in 1978, and then in 2016 500 and 1000 rupees note got demonetized. Now first of all guys, understand that as this demonetization has happened, the challenge on demonetization comes on 2 fronts. There are 2 type of challenges on demonetizations that are there. Challenge number one, whether the demonetization fulfilled the objectives, whether it fulfilled the objectives for which it was brought. Okay, we needed to reduce the amount of black money that was there. Second was that whether it was legally tenable. Okay, so for these 2 things it has been challenged. Now the present Supreme Court judgment that we got, it is discussing majorly the second dimension, that whether it was brought under the due course of law or not. This judgment, please keep in your mind that this judgment has not at all discussed that whether it achieved its objectives or not. It has not discussed this particular part. Okay, so let's talk about the legal nitty-gritties that came in between. Now, before going on those little legal details, I want to tell you some of the basic information. So basically, guys, in India, the management of currency, circulation of currency notes, it is under the control of Reserve Bank of India, and for that particular thing we have the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. We have Reserve Bank of India RBI Act 1934, and RBI Act 1934's preamble very clearly provides this particular thing, that right to regulate and right to issue the bank notes is entirely with Reserve Bank of India. So by that particular logic, guys, number one, even demonetization falls in purview of Reserve Bank of India. Without Reserve Bank of India's mandate, demonetization even cannot be carried, because it is a part of a currency only. And for that particular thing, we have one particular section in the Reserve Bank of India Act, that is section 26 subclause 2. And section 26(2) subclause 2 specifically provides that how demonetization can be carried. And as per this particular section, it is said that on the recommendation of Reserve Bank of India, Reserve Bank of India's central board, the central government may, by notification in the Gazette of India, declare that with effect from such date, any series of bank notes of any denomination shall cease to be legal tender. So what happened? Government provided this particular thing, that on in 2016 November, 500,000 rupees notes got demonetized, but for that thing they need to take recommendation for RBI's central board. Who says it? Section 26(2). So this is a correct process. Again I'm explaining the correct process. Central board of RBI will recommend it to government, and then government will bring demonetization. This should happen. But actually what happened in the case of 2016? What happened in the case of 2016? Okay, so in 2016 what happened? Government recommended the Reserve Bank of India to go for demonetization, and just 24 hours was given to Reserve Bank of India to recommend demonetization. Now, if you see, the process got reversed. Section 26 provides that RBI will recommend government, but here government recommended the RBI. So this process was challenged in the Supreme Court. It was said that it is not the correct course of action that has been taken. So here you can see this particular thing. The recommendation should have emanated from Reserve Bank of India, but in this case the government had advised the central bank, following which it was brought. Now guys, understand this particular thing. Earlier also government had demonetized, I told you, in 1946 and in 1978. In this particular matter also the government could have demonetized even if the RBI wouldn't have advised, but for that thing government has to bring an ordinance or government has to pass a bill in parliament. So keep it in mind, even if RBI doesn't advise us, government can go forward but has to bring an ordinance or a act or a bill. But here what happened? Government just passed an executive notification. Act was not passed in parliament. So neither RBI recommended nor you pass the act. So therefore this particular thing was said that legally demonetization exercise that was carried, it was wrong, it was illegal. Moreover guys, it has also been provided that opinion of the board, central board of the Reserve Bank of India, that should be independent opinion, that should be the frank opinion. Is it clear or not? But that is the issue that has happened. But guys, what Supreme Court ruled? So basically Supreme Court in this particular matter has found by a majority. So there were the 5 judges bench, and by one verdict, 4 judges had said that there was no flaw in 2016 demonetization. It was correct. There was not any problem with that particular kind of exercise. So they have upheld the legality of demonetization. One of a judge, that is Justice B.V. Nagaratna. Now Justice B.V. Nagaratna will become the first Chief Justice of India somewhere around 2027. So she had said that no, I don't agree with this particular majority judgment, and according to me the process, as per the Justice B.V. Nagaratna, the process was not correct. So she had given the dissenting judgment. Now in this entire judgment they have not discussed the credentials, whether the demonetization has reached its objectives or not. So what is the stated objective? accumulation of the wealth that has happened because of the unaccounted sources of income, the people who have earned the wealth by the black money that was to be provided. Fine. So these kind of things have not been discussed in this particular judgment. So that is all, guys, about it. In the past also, government has tried to brought multiple number of schemes to recover the illicit wealth. For example, income tax department had brought the schemes. Enforcement directorate had tried to control that particular issue. Even the voluntary disclosures. Okay, you can disclose that this much money I have earned, I have not paid the taxes. You can pay hefty tax and then you can come clean. So these these particular policies have also been brought, but they have not been that much effective in the past, and even the demonetization credentials have been disputed. Okay, so this is, guys, all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it. Okay, if there is any doubt with respect to this particular article, guys, you can ask your doubt. Yes, guys, if there is any doubt with respect to this particular article, you may ask your doubt. Okay, moving to next article. Okay, so this article again we have taken from text and the context section, and the article talks about what is the new delimitation exercise by Assam. So we'll see this particular article with respect to GS paper number 2. We'll see this particular article with respect to GS paper number 2 polity, both GS paper number 2 mains examination as well as for the prelims polity. The article will be important. Okay, let's discuss it. Okay, previous article, guys, will be important for GS paper number 3, issues related to Indian economy. Now, moving on. So basically, guys, India, for the sake of elections, has been divided in constituencies. There are parliamentary, there are the constituencies for Lok Sabha, there are constituencies for state legislative assembly elections. So we were divided entire country in constituencies. Okay, one member represents one constituency. And now we need to ensure this particular thing. That the constituencies should have a parity. For example, guys, one MP is representing the X number of people. Other MP should also represent the similar number of people. Now we know this particular thing, guys, that there are certain areas in our country which are very densely populated. Certain areas are very sparsely populated. Okay, so therefore the size of constituencies will differ. Okay, if a constituency is very densely populated, in terms of the geographical size, it might be less. Other constituency, very scarcely populated, it might be big. We need to ensure that one MP or one MLA should represent somewhat near equal number of people. So constituencies are there. Now these constituencies are needed to be amended. These constituencies are needed to be upgraded after every census. Why? In census, we do demographic exercise. We count that where population has increased, where population has decreased. Okay. For example, guys, let's say there was one particular constituency. A constituency. Okay, and this constituency earlier had 100 people. So therefore, let's say MP was representing this constituency. After the next census exercise, it was found that the population of this particular constituency got doubled. From 100, the population reached to 200. Other areas, the population has been same. So obviously, now this MP is representing the double people. So we need to change this constituency. We need to divide this constituency either in two parts or some such kind of a change is to be done. So we need to ensure that parity needs to be there across the country in the different constituencies, and to ensure that parity, we bring the delimitation exercises. Now, guys, when we talk about the delimitation exercise, understand this particular thing. I have given you the explanation here. So what is a delimitation? It is the process of redrawing boundaries of Lok Sabha as well as state assembly constituency based on the most updated and recent census. It ensures that each seat has almost equal number of voters. And for carrying this particular delimitation, we constitute an independent delimitation commission. And this independent delimitation commission, it is constituted under the provisions of the Delimitation Commission Act that we have. Now guys, when we talk about the Delimitation Commission, certain important points for your prelims examination. Number one, Delimitation Commission is appointed by whom? It is appointed by the President. And who are the members of Delimitation Commission? Its members are retired Supreme Court judge, Chief Election Commissioner of India, and the other members will be the respective state election commissioners. So for whatever state the Delimitation Commission is appointed, that state's state election commissioners will also be the members. Is it clear or not? Now we also have the constitutional provision with respect to the delimitation, article number 82. So article 82 provides that the parliament has to enact a delimitation act after every census. Mostly after every census, delimitation act has to be provided. Now in this particular direction, guys, in this particular direction, we have came out with the Delimitation Act. For example, in this particular direction, delimitation panel was formed after the independence. We got the census in 1951. So in 1952, delimitation panel was constituted. 1961 census happened. So 1962 delimitation panel was formed. 1971 census happened. So 1972 delimitation panel was formed. But after 1972, this exercise got suspended for a brief period of time. Why? Because guys, in 1970s, government came out with the population control policies. Government came out with the population control policies, and as population will change frequently, so it was said that for a particular time will not carry with the delimitation because populations will go down. This particular activity got frozen. Okay, and in 1976, the seats got frozen for 25 years first, and then 25 years later also this particular thing happened. Now guys, understand this particular thing. The latest delimitation commission which has been constituted in India, it was constituted in 2002 also. So 1952, 62, 72, and then in 2002 as well. But in 2002, when delimitation commission was formed, basically the delimitation of 4 northeastern states did not happen in 2002. So it was formed in 2002. It completed its exercise in 2008, but it left the state of Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur and Nagaland. Why? Because of the security risks, insurgency that was going at that point of a time. So it was suspended. Now guys, because the Delimitation Act of 2002 didn't include these states, now the central government in 2020 again notified that the delimitation exercise will be carried, and particularly in this updated delimitation exercise that is carried since 2020, the focus will be made on the 4 northeastern states that have been left out and the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. So for that, the center government reconstituted Delimitation Commission, and now the delimitation exercise in Assam is right now in the news. Why? Right now it is in the news. One more important prelims fact is there, guys, that I have covered here also, that when we talk about the Delimitation Commission, it also identifies the seats that are to be reserved for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Okay, important prelims fact, keep it in your mind. Okay, coming back. So I told you that in 2002 Delimitation Commission that was formed, Assam, 4 northeastern states were not covered. And meanwhile, what also happened, we see this particular thing that in 2019 reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir also happened. So for that particular purpose, now in 2020 the Delimitation Commission has been constituted. Guys, just a few days back, what has happened? Assam government had merged their 4 of earlier districts in some erstwhile districts out of which they were carved. Fine. So they merged 4 of their districts back to the erstwhile districts out of which they were carved. Now political parties are saying that this is an act of balancing the Hindu population versus Muslim population. So when the delimitation exercise will be carried in Assam, and when it will see the population in terms of their when it will see the districts in terms of their population, it might carve out some new constituencies, and that might benefit the Muslim population. So therefore, to balance out that thing, these 4 districts have been remerged back to the erstwhile divisions. So for this thing, this article has come in the news, but you don't need to go on that particular side because that is a politicized thing. Fine, no need to go there. Now, as we talk about the delimitation exercise in the state of Assam, there are the criticisms also that has come. Now, what are the criticisms? There are the two type of criticisms. One criticism is that in this particular delimitation exercise, Section 8A of Representation of People Act 1950 will be used. Now, what is a Section 8A of Representation of People Act 1950? I am talking about 50, not 51. Keep it in your mind. So, it provides that Election Commission of India will be responsible for initiating delimitation, okay, in the case of Assam. So delimitation commission will not be responsible. ECI will be responsible for carrying the delimitation in the state of Assam. Section 8A provides this thing. Then second problem that guys comes here is that in the Section 8A, it has been provided that it only allows for reorientation, and it actually rules out the change in the total number of parliamentary and assembly constituencies. Fine, you cannot change their numbers. So constituencies will remain same. Only it will look in that particular matter. Now political parties, they are saying that if it will not change the constituencies, why you are carrying this delimitation exercise? It is of no use. Constituencies should change. If population in certain areas have increased, then the constituency should change. Fine. But that thing will not happen. So this is a criticism that has come. Second criticism, guys, that is coming in this particular direction is this, that here the census of 2001 data will be used. Now the political party is saying that why you are not using the census of 2011 when we have the updated census of 2011, you are using 2001 census. It is being said that for Jammu and Kashmir, the delimitation that is being done, there you are using 2011 census, but in Assam, 2001 census data is being used. So these are the 2 points of friction that have come here. 2 points of friction that have come here. Government's act of merging 4 of districts back to the erstwhile districts is being criticized. Fine, and then Section 8A and data of 2001 is being criticized. So guys, I hope that you have understood this particular article. Okay. Fine. Guys, if you have any doubt with respect to this particular article, you may ask your doubt. Yes, guys, if there is any doubt in the article, you may ask your doubts. Okay. Fine. Now, moving to next article. Okay. So this article we have taken from editorial section, over the border line. Over the border line. Now, this particular article, guys, will be seen with respect to GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3, internal security. GS paper number 3, internal security. As well as this article will also be seen with respect to the GS paper number 2, developmental issues. Developmental issues. Development of the border, village areas, etc. Okay. Now, moving on. Okay. So basically, guys, if you are following the news, what you might be knowing this particular thing. In our newspaper analysis, we have covered this particular article that recently there was a clash that happened in Tawang sector. The clash happened in Tawang sector between India and Chinese soldiers. Moreover, multiple reports have come in this direction where it is being said that China is deliberately developing villages around border areas. It has constructed the model villages, and even the land that China is encroaching, India's land that China is encroaching, there also they are developing the border villages. Now, the Home Minister of India has also provided this particular thing that we also need to carry development in border village areas, and particularly the patriotic citizens need to be there in these border village areas. Moreover, guys, it has also been provided that often the border areas, they don't have proper connectivity, they don't have proper civic amenities such as water, electricity connection, and many number of times they are just ignored as the marginalized section of society. If that particular thing will happen, what happens? This population becomes vulnerable, and this vulnerable population can be manipulated by the neighboring countries. Is it clear or not? So therefore, development in the border areas is very much important, which is linked directly with internal security. Many number of times, guys, the infiltration is happening through the boundaries. Okay, terrorists are entering in the countries because of these boundaries. So the boundary areas need to be properly developed. They need to be properly safeguarded. Okay, they should not be staying on the margins. So therefore, now what has happened? the Union Home Minister has provided this particular thing, that borders could be permanently secured when border villages are populated by patriotic citizens who are concerned for the country. Number two, it's also provided by Home Ministry that the BSF, Border Security Force, should effectively utilize Vibrant Village program. Now, what is this Vibrant Village program? Let's understand this thing. So, Vibrant Village program was announced in 2022 budget. It was announced by the center in 2022 budget, and as per this particular program, the basic amenities, basic facilities in the villages at the border areas will be provided. What basic amenities will be provided? I will show you that also. So as per this particular program, as per this particular project, fine, there will be construction of village infrastructure, which will include housing. Tourist centers will be developed here. Road connectivity will be given. Provisioning of decentralized renewable energy, solar energy, if possible wind energy, if possible hydropower energy, all they will be deployed. Then direct to home access for Doordarshan and educational channels. Okay, so that these people can connect with the mainstream. Then after that thing, it will also provide the livelihood generation. It will also promote the livelihood initiatives. Okay, many of such programs are there. Rozgar yojanas are there. For example, if there are the rural areas, MG Narega is to be provided. Okay, now first of all, it apart from that, here it is also provided that we need to open the villages. We need to develop entirely greenfield villages, particularly along the China's border in the state of Himachal Pradesh, in the state of Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh and Union Territory of Ladakh. Fine. So here we also need to open the villages. Okay, greenfield villages are to be opened. Secondly, the villages which are not accommodative for the tourist right now, these villages are also to be made accessible to the tourist. Many of the areas tourist restrictions are there, so they are open to be available for tourists also. These two things are there. Very good scheme, very good initiative, Vibrant Village program. You can use it in your answer. But actually guys, the problem that's coming on this particular dimension is that up till now, entire details of this particular program are not in the domain. For example guys, for example, the scheme, for example, it has been provided that there is one more existing scheme by the name of Border Area Development Plan. Border Area Development Plan. How the Vibrant Village program will be different from, how it will be different from the Border Area Development Plan, it is not very clear. How much funding will be provided for what type of scheme, it is not very much clear. Thirdly guys, it is also not clear that whether this Vibrant Village program will be only on India-China border or all the borders. You know this particular thing? Guys, we have a border with Pakistan also. We have a border with Myanmar also. So will this Vibrant Village program will be applicable on other borders as well or only on India-China border? Because up till now, whatever details we have discussed, these details majorly pertain to India-China border. So that particular thing is not clear. Moreover guys, under this Vibrant Village program, Ministry of Home Affairs had provided that Parliament is planning for working on the convergence of existing schemes into the new one. Fine. So how basically convergence of existing schemes? Already, for example, for water connectivity, there is a Jal Jeevan mission. For open defecation eradication, there is a Swachh Bharat mission. Is it clear or not? So existing schemes will be converged in a new scheme, and that new scheme will be made available for these vibrant villages. But for that particular thing, implementation is still going on. Fine. Fund requirement, how much fund will be needed, from which particular service will get that fund, that modalities are being finalized. So there is a lot of work that is to be done. So now guys, government need to focus more on implementation aspect. And you always keep in your mind guys that when we talk about India, we have so many schemes for almost everything. Problem is not that we don't have schemes. Problem is that implementation of those schemes is not possible. And now as we see, India-China confrontations are increasing, and China has many number of times intruded into the Indian boundaries. We now need to be serious for the implementation of Vibrant Village program. So please keep it in your mind. Now guys, the questions are also asked in the exam, where just what they do, they simply give you a scheme and ask the objectives of the scheme. For example, Garima Abhiyan, what is the objectives of Garima Abhiyan? Vidyanjali scheme, the question have been asked. So question might come vibrant village program. So it might be like that these scheme will be operationalized in that 112 aspirational districts. Second could be this, that this scheme is for enhancing the livelihood opportunity for tribal people in scheduled areas. So four statements could be there. You need not to get confused and you need to keep it in mind that it is for border areas, fine. So that is all guys about this particular article. I hope that it is clear to all. Okay, now moving to next article. India's toy story is still in the making. India's toy story is still in the making. Now, guys, apart from this particular article, I just want to give you an additional reference. Okay, just I want to give you an additional reference. Fine, just a minute. If you give me 1 minute, I will just show you. So basically, there is one web page by Vikaspedia. Okay, Vikaspedia. Okay, just I'll open that particular web page so that you can see. Okay, Toys of India. Now this is a web page by Vikaspedia, and on this particular web page, all the vibrant toys of India, their list has been provided. Which state, which type of toys are there, it has been provided. Just a minute. Okay, yes. So this is the page. Now, Toy Story of Jammu Kashmir. Okay, just a minute. I'll highlight it. Toy Story of Jammu Kashmir, Toy Story of Himachal Pradesh, Toy Story of Uttarakhand, Toy Story of Punjab. Now, what they have given the list on major type of toys that are there in the different states. For example, guys, when we go here, for example, the Toy Story of Jammu and Kashmir. So what are the major type of toys that are carved in Jammu and Kashmir? For example, in Jammu and Kashmir, major toys that are carved, they are the walnut wood carved toys. Okay, so out of the walnut, the toys will be carved. Okay, so there are the undercut, okay, open or lattice work, deep carving will be there, semi carving will be there, shallow carving will be there, and out of that the toys will be manufactured. In the same way, then there are the Himachal Pradesh guys. Fine, in Himachal Pradesh also, basically the type, they are particularly exhibiting a particular kind of toys. Damru is a unique rustic toy, miniature version of handheld drum from Uttarakhand. Then in the Punjab, there are the folk toys that are there. Now, why? I will just advise you that you please go through this particular page. Now, why? Because guys, in the last 2 years, particularly Prime Minister at multiple number of times have provided this particular thing that we need to leverage the toy industry of India, because the toy industry of India can be a low hanging fruit. Okay, and multiple discussions have happened, multiple high level programs. For example, Toycathon. The Toycathon, it got organized few months back. So therefore, it has been again and again into the news. So in handicraft, okay, India's traditional toys, such kind of prelims related questions could be there. So you can go on that particular page. Now coming back to our article. So basically, what this particular article, guys, is talking about, this article talks about the toys in India whose exports have increased and imports have come down. Now, understand this particular thing. Guys, India has rich heritage. And when we talk about the toys in India, the tradition of toys can be traced to the Harappan civilization. So when the Harappan civilization got excavated, we found the traces of toys even there. Then we have unique folk stories, folk traditions. We have such rich and vibrant mythologies. Okay, moreover then guys, India's creativity, India's art has been so rich. Okay, but we have not been able to leverage on creating toys out of our folk culture. We have not been able to carve toys out of our mythologies, out of our creativity. When we talk about the young children, we have the youngest demography in India and large number of toddlers are there in India. But we are importing the toys from majorly the countries such as China. When we talk about the size of the toy industry in entire world, the size of toy industry or the toy trade that is happening, it is around $100 billion. But India contributes just $1.5 billion in the toy trade in entire world. So Prime Minister had said many number of times that India should leverage the toy industry and we should become the exporter of toys. But right now we are the importer of toys. Now here the article that we are going to take, we are going to see some of the charts and some of the data with respect to that where we are right now in terms of the toy industry. First of all guys, so basically when the COVID-19 pandemic got started in 2020, at that point of a time, Prime Minister exhorted the idea that India can become a global toy hub. And it was provided that 80% of the toys in India, they are imported. And as 80% toys in India are imported, crores of rupees are going abroad. And it was provided by Prime Minister that we need to initiate Vocal for Local Toys program. Vocal for Local Toys program. Fine. And it was provided that by this particular thing in July 2022, when we see the data, we found this particular thing that India's exports of toys, which was around 300 to 400 crore rupees in 2020, that export got increased to nearly 2600 crore rupees. And particularly Prime Minister had said this particular thing that this is the phenomenal thing that has been achieved by any country anywhere in the world. So this is something we further need to leverage on this particular thing. Moreover, it has also been provided that the import of toys, which was around 3,000 crore rupees around 2020 and 2019, it has came down and the imports have fallen by 70%. So it shows India's reliance on it shows that India's reliance on foreign made toys. Fine, the toys from China, it is coming down and now we are developing our own toys. But is it really the case that this change has happened because we became Atmanirbhar in the toys? No. So as per the data, it's being provided that actually the major reasons in this particular direction is that the basic custom duty, just a minute. The major reason is that basic custom duty on import of toys have been increased from 20% to 60%. And there are the stringent quality conditions that have also been imposed onto the imported toys. Because of this particular thing, the toy trade in India got changed. We became big exporters and the imports got reduced by 70%. Now this particular data and the data in this particular direction can be taken from this particular chart also. Okay. Guys, it might not be that much visible because the resolution of this picture itself in the newspaper is not clear, but still we'll try to understand this particular thing. Now, first of all, when we talk about these particular charts, they have been taken from the Ministry of Commerce and Industries website. So first of all, when we talk about the toy in India, it shows India's toy exports. Okay. So basically, guys, when we talk about the India's toy exports, fine. So we find this particular thing that a lot of exports is being made to the US. Okay. Now here guys, this particular chart shows country-wise import of toys to India. So when we talk about India's imports of toys, majorly it was coming from China, but now it had started to come down. Okay. Now here we can see this particular thing, country-wise total exports of toys in billion. So total, in terms of the total export of toys that is being done, China leads the numbers in this particular direction also. Now understand this particular thing guys, that you are not required to plot the exact numbers. Number nahi plot karne aapko. Just you can make a tentative graph. Okay, if a question on this particular line is coming. So just a direction of graph will be more than sufficient for your exam for your exam needs. Fine, so that is about it. Guys, understand this particular thing guys, that even when we talk about the toys in India, I just want to give you one suggestion. We need to explore not only traditional toys or the stuffed toys, but the toys which ignite the cognitive inquiries in the children. That also we need to explore. Now, first of all, guys, if I give you the example, so you might have heard about Lego. What is Lego? Lego just gives certain basic building blocks. You can connect these building blocks with each other. You can connect these building blocks with each other. You can make a car, you can make a building, you can make a animal, anything you can make. So basically the Legos, what they do, they ignite the thinking capabilities in the young children. You just give them certain blocks of pieces, they will connect them, they will make a machine, they will make a factory, they will make a house out of that, they will make a frog, any animal out of that. So it evokes the thinking capabilities in the children. So these kind of toys which ignite the cognitive thinking in the children, we need to explore on that particular thing also. So not only stuffed and the miniaturized toys, such toys also need to be explored. So that is all guys about this particular article. Fine. And now we'll move to next article. Okay, now we have come to the editorial section, and the first editorial that we are going to discuss, the case against state control of Hindu temples. Okay, now this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 1 and GS paper number 2, GS paper number 1 and GS paper number 2, issues of secularism, issues of secularism. Okay, now guys, let me give you first of all what we mean by secularism, what we mean by secularism. Okay, guys, understand this particular thing, that most of you will give the definition of secularism, that the secularism talks about the separation of religion and the state. Most of you will give this definition, but this definition is not entirely correct. Why? Because such definition is correct in the context of US or Western countries, but not in the context of India, because we don't specifically preach the complete separation of state and religion. Okay, our secularism is something different. So when we talk about secularism, you should give definition of secularism that it pertains to a specific level of interaction that is permissible between state and religion. Okay, somewhere no interaction is permissible, somewhere little interaction is permissible. So what is secularism? Secularism pertains to a specific level of interaction that is permissible in the state and in the religion. Secularism majorly provides that in any state there could be three type of relation. For example, there can be relation between the citizen and state, there can be relation between the citizen and religion, and there can be the relation between the state and the religion, state and the religion. Again, relation between the citizen and state, citizen and religion, and state and religion. So number one, the secularism provides this particular thing. When the relation between the citizen and state is concerned, state needs to see citizen as just a political entity, as just a political entity which has certain rights, and state should not see citizen in terms of the religion that they are following. State should be blind in terms of the religion of a citizen. That is a basic tenet of secularism. Second, when the citizen and religion are concerned, their relation is completely private. Their relation is completely private. State should not have any interest in this particular kind of relation. And when the relation between the state and religion is concerned, there cannot be any independent relation out of that. That is a major premise of secularism. But again, I'm saying, from country to country, the model of secularism will be separate. For example, when we talk about the USA's secularism, fine. So the USA's secularism, it is based on thick separation between the state and the religion, the state and the church. But when we talk about Indian secularism, it is based on to the notion of Sarva Dharma Sampan and Sarva Dharma Sambhav, where the state plays a facilitative role, and at times state can interfere in the domain of religion, but majorly for constructive reasons. In USA or the Western model, state will not be interfering in the religion. So secularism model from country to country will be different. I will not go too much into the detail, because then the class will go in some different kind of a dimension. Now the article is majorly talking about the Indian brand of secularism, and it is saying that okay, India, the government and the state is interfering in the religion, whether it is good or whether it is not good. Particularly, the question comes on the control of temples by the state. Control of temples by the state. Now understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the control of temples by the state, just a minute, let me zoom it out for you. Fine. Okay, now, so basically guys, when we talk about India, there is often it has been said that the state management of temples, it is justified. Government provides that we are managing or we are controlling the temple so that accessibility is given for the worshipping in temples. Guys, you might have read in the newspaper that still there are certain temples in the states such as Tamil Nadu and many other states also. There are the temples where the entry is not given to Dalits. So therefore, state wants to manage the temple so that all the people can access the temple. Fine, worshippers can access the temple and acharaks, the priest, they can access the temple. Moreover, in Constitution of India, there is the secular activities, basically it has been provided, regulating secular activities associated with religious practices can be done. Article 25 2 subclause A. Article 25 2 subclause A provides that the state can control the activities in religion. You can read it. Regulating or restricting any economic, financial, political or other secular activity which may be associated with religious practice. Okay, don't get confused. State can control the practices pertaining to the religion that has been provided. But at the same time, guys, this particular article is talking about that there is also Article 25 2 subclause B. And under Article 25 2 subclause B, the power has been given the state to provide laws for providing for social welfare and reform, such as a throwing open of Hindu religious institutions for all the classes. So under Article 25, the state can interfere for opening of the temple of all the people such as the Dalits. The state can control the religious activity of a religion. All these powers have been provided in Article 25. Now guys, the question is coming that actually there are two type of things. Number one, you control the affairs of temple so that accessibility is provided, and secondly, you control the affairs of a temple, particularly in finances. You are seeing their finances, you are seeing their revenues. Is it good? Should it be acceptable? So as per the mind of the constitution framers, when they wanted to give a power to the state, they wanted to give power to state to ensure that accessibility of a person is not restricted. But as far as concerned, the constitution framers didn't wanted that even administrative decisions, financial decisions for a temple or for a religious organization should be taken by the state. Okay, now guys, it has been provided that when we talk about, now this is the gist of the article that I have just told you. So basically, in the terms of the power of the state vis-a-vis religion, many judgments have come in this particular direction. And when we talk about the judgments on this aspect, the most important judgment that we get is the Shirur Mutt judgment of 1954. Fine. Shirur Mutt judgment of 1954. Now, what is this Shirur Mutt judgment? Now, in this particular judgment, it was provided that what is integral to a religion, that thing can be defined by the judiciary. Test of essentiality or essentiality doctrine was given. Now, let's understand for a minute what is this essentiality doctrine, as it is not explained in lucid words in this article. So, it's provide that, see, state occasionally can interfere in religion. Yes, it can interfere in religion, it is provided. Now, in what matters the state can interfere and in what matters state cannot interfere, that is to be seen. And for that particular thing, the doctrine of essentiality has been provided. Now, here it is being provided that in a religion, there are two type of practices. One are essential practices, okay, which are the core practices of a religion, and other are the non-essential practices. These are not the core activities of a religion. So when the state or government or judiciary want to interfere in religion, they can interfere in the non-essential practices. In essential practices, they cannot interfere. Now a question comes that what exactly will be non-essential practice and what exactly will be the essential practice? Who will define it? So here in the Shirur Mutt case, it was provided that the judiciary will have the power that it will define what is essential practice, what is non-essential practice. So where interference can be made, where interference cannot be made, it will be decided by judiciary. Now this is a very important case that came. Now guys, this Shirur Mutt case, it has also been sometimes criticized. It has been provided that by this judgment, Supreme Court got a lot of power in their own hands. Okay, this is something that has happened. Now in order to in order to undo this particular judgment, what has happened, an amendment was also brought in 1954 in the erstwhile state of Madras. Now this particular act of Madras was challenged in the Supreme Court in Sudhindra Tirth Swamiyar versus Commissioner case of 1954, and this particular act was struck down. So basically the powers came in the hand of the state. When we talk about the state, both all the three organs, executive, legislature and the judiciary will come. So a lot of power came in the hands of the state in this particular direction. Now the author is talking about this thing, that under the guise of administering the Hindu religious endowments, the state is trenching upon religious affairs. It is doing micromanagement. For example, it has been provided that there is large scale loot and plunder of the temple resources that are going at the hand of the state officials. Misappropriation of fund is going on. It has been provided a large income that was being realized by the temple. It is directly now being controlled by the state. So often the intentions of the state officials when the control of temples is there, it is not completely pure, and so much control of the temples should not be there as suggested by this particular article. Okay, so guys, this is all about this particular article. Now here there is too much details, too much hairline details that have been given. You need not to go in that particular dimension a lot also. Okay, now moving to next article. So this is only the most important thing that has been there, and as a way forward we can provide this particular thing, that the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act emphasized the secularism. Before 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, the word secularism was not specifically mentioned in the Constitution of India. It came to existence. And it has been provided very clearly under the secularism that the state cannot mix with religion. As far as possible, state needs to stay away from the religion. And this spirit, now we need to understand. So whenever the state is interfering in the matters of religion, it should be doing only on the matters of social justice. Unnecessary things, the state should not interfere. This is the gist of this particular article. Now, moving to next article, when degrees lose their worth. Now this particular article, guys, largely will see with respect to GS paper number 2 education, as well as in essay also we'll take this particular article. Okay, now let's discuss that what the article is actually talking about. Now largely, guys, in article a lot of symbolism, a lot of such kind of references has been given, which are largely not that much important for examination. Okay, so you need to avoid that. Now so basically in this article, guys, the article is talking about that in India there is an absurd fascination in people to get more and more degrees. Okay, people have developed the fascination to get more and more degrees, and for that particular thing there is one particular word also that has been coined, that is diploma disease. Now this diploma disease were actually, it was a book that was written by the British economist Ronald Dare. Okay, and in this particular book he has provided that the diploma disease is absurd fascination in the people to gather more and more degrees. Okay, so people, they wanted to do undergraduate, then they don't want to do postgraduate, after that they want to go for even later words in PhD also. Okay, so this absurd urge is called as the diploma disease. Now when we talk about India, in India the diploma disease is very much rampant. People want to get so many of the degrees. Many of you, even UPSC aspirants, though you are giving this exam, but you are side by side enrolled in some correspondence course, etc. Now the article is saying that because of this growing need of diplomas, certificates, degrees, there is a kind of an educational bazaar that had got developed. Okay, so everybody is offering some correspondence course, corresponding diploma, etc. Now article provides this particular thing, that what is the driving force, why people develop this particular urge to get more and more degrees. So driving force is that number one, internally what happened. Basically, it has been provided that if we get more and more degrees, we will be job ready. Our resume will be strengthened. Our CV will be strengthened. So if I'm going to ask for a job, and if I show I have done these 10 degrees, these 10 courses, these 10 diplomas, I will be job ready. Okay, and in India, when we see why we find this particular thing, that there is the scarcity of the worthwhile jobs. Okay, there is a lot of high unemployment that is there, and because of that high unemployment, people are even more scared that they need to get more and more degrees, only then they will get the jobs. Because of this particular factor, people are collecting the degrees and the diplomas. Now also we find this particular thing, that in India there is an expansion of open learning that has happened. Okay, open learning, that is physically you are not going in the institution or college, just you are enrolled in a course, you will give the exam at the end of the quarter or at the end of the year, and you will get the degree. And there are also self-learning market that had got developed. Is it clear? You can enroll in an online course, you can attend certain lectures, after that you can attempt a quiz or any kind of a thing, and you will get the diploma. That has also happened. Okay, it has to some extent boosted self employment. Okay, now guys, for example, you can do a course in editing, you can do a course on videography. It might enhance the employment, but the point is that formal jobs, sarkari nokri, sarkari nokri, that lure has not been diminished. Okay, now this particular thing also has also enabled the high growth in the coaching market as well. Okay, so when we're going in a coaching, there also what we are seeking to, enhance our educational credentials, so that on the basis of that we can get a job. Okay, now next thing that is being provided is that, guys, basically in India there is also a limitation on the part of public institutions of higher education. Now, when we talk about the public institution, government institution of higher education, they have suffered sustained hollowing out. In the past 30 years, they have not been able to maintain the highest standard of quality. They have not been able to upgrade their capacities as the number of students have increased. Okay, so they have been failed to maintain standards, they have failed to accommodate large number of students, and therefore what is happening today, just in the search of degrees, brain drain is also happening. The students, they are going to the foreign universities, they are going to the foreign colleges. Why? Because in India the quality education has suffered. So public institutions failure was also there. Now, the next thing, guys, that is being provided is that basically the standards of teaching and the standards of education has fallen down to such a low level, and for that particular thing a reference has been given. So basically the Indira Gandhi National Open University has made a statement, and the statement goes like this: please read the program guide carefully, reading is a good activity for you. Now understand this particular thing, that a university has to emphasize this particular thing, that reading is good. University has to tell you that reading is a good habit. Okay, so this is the standard of education that has happened, with that has reached. So in this particular direction, it has been provided that fine reforms, and deep and meaningful reforms are needed in this particular directions. It has also been provided that we have introduced the reforms despite the weakening of routines. Okay, despite of the pandemic that has come, but still there is a lot of gap, and we need to identify those gaps, and we need to work on those gaps. Okay, so this is something in this particular direction. Fine. Now the article, guys, it is more of a kind of a leisurely read that has been there, but yes, in essays such kind of a substance can be used. Now taking the next article, and this is again editorial section, towards reducing India's prison footprint. Okay, and this particular article, guys, will see with respect to GS paper number 2, criminal justice system reforms. Now before moving in this particular article, guys, let's take some of the basic things. Fine. So basically, criminal justice system includes three things. It includes police and investigation, it includes judiciary and courts, and thirdly, it includes prisons. And these three things, police, judiciary and prison system, it constitutes the criminal justice system. Now guys, when we talk about India, we find this particular thing, that because the criminal justice system having is having so many of the weaknesses. Human right abuse are happening. We find this particular thing that the justice is getting delayed, justice is even getting denied. Let me give you some numbers in this particular direction, guys. See this thing. In India, when we talk about the prisons, Indian prisons are overstuffed out of their capacity. They are overstuffed. Secondly, when we talk about prisons, 76% of the inmates, 76% of the prisoners in the prison find they are under trials. Who is under trial? Under trial is a person who is arrested, who is lodged in the jail, but his crime is not proved. Okay. Now we know this particular thing that the cases, they go for 10, 20 years. So many people are there in the jails whose crime has not been proved. And 76% of people in the jails are the under trials, means that their crime is not proved. And when we talk about the natural, when we talk about the most fundamental law of justice, India believes in innocent until proved guilty. So till now, these 76% people have not been proved guilty, but they are suffering in the jail. Okay, they are responsible for overstuffing of Indian prisons. Now, why people are being stuffed in the prisons? We see this particular thing. Number one, guys, we see this particular thing that the police are even making the arrest where the arrest was not necessary. And after that, when the people are going to the judiciary, we found this particular thing that often the bail are being denied to them in this particular direction. Recently, so in the Satyendra Kumar Antil judgment, it was also provided that the bail should not be denied as a routine course. And in prison, often there is no proper facilities, no proper sanitation, and because of those particular kind of things, human right violations, justice is getting denied, justice is getting delayed. So across all these three factors, number one, we need reform. So therefore, police reform is a separate issue that comes, judicial reforms is a separate issue that comes, and the prison reforms is a separate issue that comes. In the article that we are going to discuss, in this particular article that we are going to discuss, we will majorly be talking about the reforms that are needed at the level of prison, but the article has actually talked about the other issues as well. Okay, so it is a good article, and let's read this particular article. So this is some background that you need to have in your mind first. So basically, guys, what has happened recently when the Constitution Day was observed? So at the Constitution Day, Indian president had highlighted the poor prison conditions, and she had mentioned this particular thing that the poor people, poor individuals, they are lodged in the jail, they don't know about their rights, and because they don't know about the rights, they don't know about the constitutional remedies, they are suffering for years and years in the jail. Fine. And it has been provided that they have been incarcerated for a prolonged period for the minor offenses. Their families are struggling, they are poor people. So we need to show empathy. We need to show empathy to such kind of a people. Now, President Murmu also emphasized that how judiciary, executive, and legislature should work together so that the people who are being arrested for minor offenses, that should not happen. We need to work that how the bail reforms in India can be brought. We also need to focus that how the prison occupancy should be brought down. Now, understand, guys, basically we need to change our thinking. So, as I give you some data, Indian prisons, guys, are running at occupancy of 120%. It means if 100% can be accommodated in prison, there are 120%. Fine. Now, traditional argument that is given is that we should increase the number of jails. Okay, we increase the number of jails, construct more number of jails. That is something it has been provided. But you need to understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about the prisons, they are designed in such a way that the humans' fundamental rights, they are not important. When we talk about the prison administration, they often, when the people are there in the jail, they incorporate stringent security measures. For example, there are the high risk prisoners, the prisons are constructed, there will be high walls between the cells so that the people, the prison inmates, they cannot talk with each other, they cannot interact with each other. According to French philosopher Michael Foucault, French philosopher, provides this particular thing that actually the architecture of prison is designed in such a way that it is used as a tool to carry surveillance, as a tool to carry torture, and to break the soul of the inmates. Okay, so the jails want to break the soul. They want to, it has been provided that the solitary confinement, all these particular kind of things, they crush their spirit. Okay, now when we talk about, guys, Indian jails, they are based on the colonial laws. For example, still Indian prisons are governed as per the Prison Act of 1894. And this particular Prison Act of 1894 is designed with the philosophy that the prisoners are the second grade or even third grade citizens. Even actually they are not treated on par with the citizens. Okay. Moreover, the laws in India, particularly the prison laws, they are highly casteist. For example, they are unchanged since the British times, and some jail manuals continue to focus on purity and pollution concept, which is the concept associated with untouchability. Now, basically, in this particular direction, guys, it has been provided that the National Dalit Movement for Justice, National Dalit Movement for Justice and National Center for Dalit Human Rights, they published the report, and the name of report was Criminal Justice in the Shadow of Caste. And they provide this particular thing that how within the caste, the systemic, legal caste and other discriminations are going on, and how the prisons have become a kind of a facility for the human right violation, for the violation of the fundamental dignities. And solution in this particular direction is not that you construct even more prisons, because by constructing more prisons, more violation of the people who are lodged in those jails that will happen. Now guys, understand this thing. I'm not saying that we should not give punishment to any person, but you understand this thing, 76% is a very big number. These people are under trials, and out of that there is a very big possibility that a lot people are falsely implicated also. Then there are many number of people who are convicted for minor offenses. Okay, so this is something that there is a human side also we need to understand. So what's the way forward in this particular direction? Now the article is talking about this particular thing, that setting up more prisons to decongest, it is a misguided approach. Rather, the president, she has talked about that we need to be more empathetic. Okay, she had provided this particular thing, that what we need to ensure that we should focus on releasing the prisoners who are unwell or very old. If they have done some offenses which are not that much serious, we should consider releasing them. More paroles need to be given. Okay, reducing the penalties, allowing bail at the affordable cost. Okay, now many number of times, guys, now you see this thing, when a bail is to be availed, for taking a bail, a person has to furnish surety bond. A person has to furnish surety bond. Okay, now this bond will have some monetary value attached with that. Poor people cannot furnish this particular bond, and as they cannot furnish this bond, many number of times they continue in the jail. So therefore, a bail should be given at affordable cost, employing anti-carceral ways. Fine, fine. So basically, within the jail, the number of people that are being put in jail, their number is to be reduced. Okay. So therefore, guys, it has been provided that India has not done enough to prevent crime. We have not done enough to prevent the crime. So basically, our approach towards the crime needs to be preventive and need not to be reactive. So we react, we punish once a crime has happened, but identify the root cause of the crimes. Petty crimes are happening because of poverty. Petty crimes are happening because many number of times people don't have adequate opportunities. So rather than investing thousands of crore rupees in making state-of-the-art cages, we need to ensure that how public funds can be utilized for creating better housing, better education, better employment. We need to identify the vulnerabilities of the people. Now, many number of times people do crime because of certain deprivations that they have. So address those deprivations. People are doing some minor offenses, for example, stealing. Why? Because many number of times they don't have employment. So we need to identify those particular kind of things and need to focus on that. Is it clear or not? Fine. This is something that has been provided in this particular article. Now, moving to the next article. Okay. So this particular article, first of all, let's read the heading. Article reads, online games must register with self-regulatory body, says draft rules. Okay. Now, basically, guys, the article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2, government laws. Now, before going in this particular article, let me give you a little brief overview. Basically, guys, what has happened? Electronics and Information Technology Ministry, that is IT Ministry, it has provided a proposal that they are considering to bring the online games under the ambit of IT rules. Now, understand this particular thing, guys, that if you Okay, I hope that this picture is visible. Yes. So basically, if you know guys, last to last year in fact now, government came out with Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Rules 2021. And as per, in short, you can call it as IT Rules 2021. So by the IT Rules 2021, OTT platforms, social media intermediaries and digital news, they come under the ambit of a government. Government can control these OTT platforms, digital news and the social media intermediaries. Now, there is an issue of online gaming. We see this particular thing that Rummy Circle and many such kind of games are there where people are staking a lot of money. People are becoming addicted to these particular games, and many number of times people are taking loan, and on the loans they are playing these particular games. So therefore, in the past, government such as the government of Tamil Nadu, government of Karnataka, they had tried to regulate these online games. Now those regulations which they have brought, they have been on majority of them, the stay has also been imposed by the judiciary. I'll talk on that particular direction also. Now the union government, particularly the electronics, particularly here we see this particular thing, that the Electronics and Information Technology Ministry has now proposed that we need to bring an amendment, to the IT rules. Just a minute. They say that we need to bring an amendment to IT Rules 2021, IT Rules 2021, and along with, again I'm repeating, along with the social media intermediaries, digital news and OTT platforms, online games should be brought in this IT Rules 2021. Now guys, we don't have too much details on this particular thing, that how it will happen. Why? Because it's not clear that how this particular thing will actually be operated, and it's not clear whether the games of skill will also come under this particular policy or not. Now let's understand that what is this games of skill. It is a very, very important topic. Games of skills and games of chance. So basically guys, there are two type of games. Games of skill, and then there are games of chance. Now, games of skill are those where a person can use his or her own brain, his or her own skills, etc. For example, guys, when we talk about the horse racing, so a person who has a staking bet on the horse racing, he needs to know a lot of information about that horse, about the breed of that horse, about the skill of the jockey, the person who is riding on that horse. Okay, the climatic conditions, that whether the horse will be able to perform on this field or not. So a lot of information is there, and on the basis of that particular information, a person can stake a bet that which horse will win. So here there is a skill that is involved. Many games are there where the people, on the basis of the real time performance of the cricket players, can make their team. So basically guys, it has been provided that the games of skill are those games where a person can use some permutation, combination or some logic or some skill. Then there are the games of chance. Games of chance are those games where there is a complete luck. For example, rolling a dice. Now I roll a dice, now it is completely my luck that what number will come. Okay, so basically when we talk about the betting and gambling, so on betting and gambling, the regulations to ban them or to control them can be brought. Fine. Particularly when we talk about the gambling, okay, the gambling can be banned, and for that particular thing, the powers are, the provisions there exist. Now, basically it has been provided by the Supreme Court that you can ban under the betting laws, under the gambling laws, the games of chance, but you cannot completely ban the games of skill. Why? Because in games of skill, the probability of luck is less, and one's skill will be more important. By this particular classification, government has multiple number of times. For example, Tamil Nadu government, Karnataka government in the past, they brought the bill where outrightly they banned the online games, and they said that these are nothing but the betting and gambling activities. So multiple number of times the judiciary has held that you are failing to discriminate, that the games of chance and games of skill are different. You cannot bring a complete ban, because by that thing games of skill will also be banned. Okay, the people who are running these games of skill, okay, their livelihood, article number 19 will get impacted. Okay, the people who are playing these games of skill, their expression will get impacted. So you need to, if you want to regularize, if you want to ban, you can do it for games of chance but not for games of skill. So this is the case that has this is the judgments that have been given in the past. Now when government is trying to regulate, when government is trying to regulate the games of chance, games of skill, there will be this particular challenge that will come, that betting and gambling, okay, this is the challenge that will come, that whether the games of skill, fine, will come under this particular policy or not. But up till now government has not given much clarity on this thing. It is just a proposal that has been given. Beyond that, much details have not come out. Okay, so this is something that they have provided. Now moving to next article. Okay, so exploding number of Indian illegal immigrants came to Austria minister. So the same article we have taken yesterday also, because guys, I've told you this particular thing, that it is for the first time in past 27 years that India's Minister of External Affairs is visiting the Austria. So the Minister of External Affairs of India, Mr. S. Jaishankar, visited Austria, and he had signed, just a minute, he had signed comprehensive migration and mobility partnership agreement. Now what is this particular agreement? By this particular agreement, the illegal immigrants from India that are going to Austria, they will be sent back to India. They will be deported back to India. A large number of illegal immigrants, they are going in European countries and many other kind of countries. And guys, when we talk about the trade relations, economic relations, strategic relation between the two countries, there are certain convergences and then there are certain irritants. So between India and European countries, a lot of convergences are there. For example, guys, both of the Europe and India, European countries and India, they talk about the rule-based order. They talk about controlling the hegemony of China, all such kind of things. Okay, democratic values are common between India and Europe. Economic convergences can be there. India can be the supplier of critical components to these European countries. All this possibility is there. But irritants, when we talk about it, large number of Indian immigrants are going in these countries, but there is no mechanism to send them back, to deport them back to India. So this particular irritant India has picked up, and for that thing, comprehensive migration and mobility partnership agreement has been signed. India is also looking forward to sign this similar kind of an agreement with the countries such as France, United Kingdom, Germany and Finland. And as these irritants will be taken care of, India will further then move for signing the long-term pending India-European Union Free Trade Agreement. India-European Union Free Trade Agreement, which is pending for a very long time. Okay, so this tool will combat illegal migration. Okay, it will ensure the swift return of the illegal immigrants, and at the same time it will also ease the multiple entry visas for professional students exchange program. That will also happen. So now this particular agreement has been signed. So yesterday it was in news because it was to be signed. Today it is in news because it got signed. Okay, so this is the article that has been there. Is it clear or not? Fine. So this is all about it. Now guys, moving to the next article. Fine. So if you read this article, it reads, ST Commission holds its ground on impact of new rules on Forest Rights Act. Now, you don't need to go too much into the detail in this particular article because that substance is not there. I'll briefly be telling you that what's this entire issue going on. Now guys, understand this particular thing. That basically what has happened? Forest conservation rules. Forest conservation rules 2022 recently got notified, and as per the provision of this forest conservation rules, it has been private. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that as we talk about one important act, that is the Forest Right Act of 2006. Forest Right Act of 2006. As per this particular act, it is being provided that if any project is being developed in the tribal area, okay, if any project is being developed into the forest area, then before taking up that particular project, the Gram Sabha's approval is to be taken. Gram Sabha's consent is to be taken. So without the consent of Gram Sabha, the project's approval cannot be given. But recently, Forest Conservation Rules 2022 came. And as per these particular rules, it has been provided that a project can be given approval A project can be given approval even without taking the approval from Gram Sabha. Even without taking the approval from Gram Sabha, a project can be given approval. Now, what has happened? Because of this particular thing, National Commission for Scheduled Tribe became angry. National Commission for Scheduled Tribe became angry. National Commission of Scheduled Tribe had specifically raised this matter with the Environment Ministry and said this thing that this particular approval will be going against the spirit of Forest Right Act. It will be going against the spirit of the Forest Right Act, where the rights of the tribal on their land were to be recognized. Fine. So such kind of rules should not go forward. Now, Environment Ministry is saying this particular thing that we will go forward with that thing, but National Commission for Scheduled Tribe is not happy with that particular thing. So if you read the headline, it reads, ST Commission holds the ground on impact of new rules on Forest Right Act. According to National Commission of Scheduled Tribes, it will encroach on their rights. Okay. Fine, you don't need approval of Gram Sabha, so it will encroach on their rights. So they have continued on this particular standoff. So this standoff is going on. Any solution in this particular direction has not come up till now. Okay, fine. So this is all about it. And now guys, let's take the mains practice question for today. So the mains practice question, it reads, India's prisons face three long-standing structural constraints, that is overcrowding, understaffing, and underfunding. Suggest measures to address these constraints. This question will be for GS paper number 2, criminal justice reforms, criminal justice system reforms, and it will be a 10 marker question. Okay, so guys, that is all about the today's newspaper analysis session. Guys, I hope that you have understood this you have understood all the articles that we discussed here, and I hope that you are getting utility of this particular session. Guys, if you have liked the video, only if you have liked the video, then please hit the like button, please subscribe to the channel, and please leave your lovely comments, because your comments are always very important for me. I personally read each and every single of your comment, and they always give us more motivation to come out with better with more initiatives and all such kind of things. So thank you everyone guys. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Fine. Till then, please take care of yourselves, and if you have any doubt, you may ask your doubts. And meanwhile, a very good morning and a lot of thanks to all the ones who have commented. So BSK Agri, Rajeshwari, Bhagyashri, Lohit, Yashu, Kajal Kumari, Shamug Sundari, Norul Amin, Eliminati, Pandi Santosh, Ravi, Chetan, Nagendra, Akashdeep, Ashita, Sandeep, okay, Papaji, Radhika, Manu, Kapil, Rajni, Ganesh, Rajalakshmi, Gori, Fazil, Pallavi, Sakshi, Amber, Rilu, Naim, Kajal, Santosh, Neha, Pratap, Kavipriya, Babul Behra, Amber, Aru, Radhika, Lakshmi, Hobbs. Sir, please tell us how to note down all the issues. Okay, you can directly, dear, download the synoptic notes. Bhavna, Tribhuvan, Kajal, fine. Guru Prasad, Scorpio, Viniba, Sachin, Satish, SK. Sir, is your current affairs class enough for PSI or optional? See, when we take the current affairs specifically, I show you the entire newspaper so that your FOMO, fear of missing out, can be addressed. Okay. So if there is any article, fine, not only PSI, for all the newspapers, if there is any article, that will be duly covered in the sessions. Okay. Kanika, sir, you have taken PYQ ethics class. Is that enough for ethics? See, you work on your basics. Okay, you work on your basics, and if your basics are fine, then yes, it is sufficient. KR, Mahesh Bhai, Mohammed, Vinay, Saurabh, Nikhil, UPSC Wala, Anand, Saurabh Zone, Shreya. Sir, good morning. What is exact time of this newspaper analysis session? So we start this newspaper analysis around 7 in the morning. Okay. Stop forward, Mahesh. Okay, Hema, Rilu, Kajal, Abhishek, Shushma Shri, Rilu, Vignesh, PV, Durga, Nagraj, Radhika. But don't these prisons conditions which would be favorable for the prisons fail to discourage the crimes? See, We need to change the philosophy. Fine, we need to focus rather than deterrence to more rehabilitation. Okay. Introvert, PV, Bharat, Mahesh Bhai, Vipul, Chanchal, Rocky, Vipul, Nagraj. Okay, fine. So that is all, guys, about this session. Chirag also has one question. It will discourage crime, but the government should bring in stringent laws so that the crime doesn't happen. Yes, that is also good. Prevention is better than cure. Fine. So guys, that is all about the today. So now we'll be meeting tomorrow.